and Daryl Young. I'm at C2E2 Chicago, 2021. As you can see, I love retro art. I love stuff from the 70s and the 80s. You can find me on Instagram at Daryl Young Design 69. And please visit my friend's site, Raze Chaos. He's the one who's filming you right now. Take care and thank you.
And welcome back, everybody. My name is Raze Chaos. You made it back to my channel, and Raze cannot tell you how excited he is right now. Raze gets to talk about a character he rarely gets to talk about. I mean, aside from that awful movie that they put out years ago, and the much better done animated series they've done on HBO, which, yeah, it kind of fell apart in the second episode, but that first episode was just beautiful. He gets to talk about The Watchmen, and Raze has loved this series since he was 14 years old. And yes, you heard that right, 14 years old. Technically, Raze learned about The Watchmen earlier than that because he had acquired the DC Heroes role-playing game when he was young, and well, he never got to play it because everybody he knew liked Dungeons and Dragons, and they didn't really want to bother with this other game that was all DC characters.
This game is stupid. Very well. If I must follow this through to the bitter end.
Raze meticulously collected the source books and modules for the DC Heroes role-playing game. And one of them didn't fit the rest of them. That was the Watchmen source book.
The photograph is in my hand.
Which confused young Raze because he was like, who are these characters and why aren't they in with the rest of the DC universe? But yet they're here now. And everything just seems so strange. So Raze actually ended up reading the Watchmen source book cover to cover because this was the only information he had about these characters. And he then sought out to actually find the series.
It is the photograph of a man and a woman. They are at an amusement park in 1959. In exactly 38 seconds, I drop the photograph to the sand and walk away.
He checked his local comic book store. They had one issue of it. Of course, this is well after, this is probably in the early 90s or so. Well, yeah, it is the early 90s.
It is already there, 31 seconds into the future. 30 seconds. The photograph is in my hands. I found it in a derelict bar 27 hours ago. 25 seconds.
You know, The Watchmen had been out had been out since 1985. Yeah, Raze was probably reading comics in 85. Well, he was reading comics in 85.
It is still there, 27 hours into the past. 21 seconds. I am still there, looking at it. 18 seconds. It is October 1985. I am on Mars. 14 seconds.
He never went near The Watchmen because, you know, there wasn't Superman or Batman on the cover. Why would he be interested in? It wasn't geared towards somebody of Raze's age.
It is July 1959. 11 seconds. I am at the Palisades amusement park. 8. I am tired of looking at the photograph. 5. I open my fingers. 3. It falls to the sand.
We don't talk about Raze reading it too early. But basically, Raze managed to find one issue of it, and wasn't even the first issue of it. Just a random issue from the 12-issue miniseries that it came from. And one of the middle issues. I know it exactly because it is the episode, or it's the issue where Night Owl takes Silk Spectre down into the Owl Cave, and then they go and save the tenement fire. Which, you know, okay, great, we've got that, but, you know, Raze read the source book. So he knows the story. He just hasn't read the story, and he hasn't experienced it yet.
Can give you cancer, and I'm turning to a car.
And it's a really interesting way of getting into it when you already know the story before you actually read the story. Because reading the story and knowing the story are two different things. And it's one of those things where reading the story is so much better. And Raze has read that book. Raze goes back and reads the Watchmen on at least an annual basis. He will read it once a year, front to back. He knows it by heart, but like every time, like it's so deep that just the different perspective of aging can change the whole course of the tone of it, and it's just so masterfully written. Probably one of the probably the finest masterpiece of comic book work, of a graphic novel you're gonna find. But yeah, Raze finally had found more issues in another town, because the internet wasn't a thing at the time. So we went to a comic book store in a different town, found more issues of it, and Raze grabbed him up. And he was up at the counter and everything, and he was gonna buy him. And Raze got the best comic book guy, the best comic at that comic book store. The best possible guy was behind that counter, because Raze will be honest. If Raze had been the person behind the counter, he wouldn't have asked a single question. He would have sold those issues to that kid and let him run off.
I am disappointed, Vite.
But this guy actually, I think maybe it was because of Raze's age, the guy actually stopped and said, have you read this? Do you have other issues of this at home? And Raze was like, I got one. Guy's like, so you don't have the full story yet? And I was like, no, but I really want it. I'm gonna get issue by issue until I get the entire collection. And that's when the guy went over and pulled out, because The Watchmen is one of the first graphic novels that were ever put together. It's one of the first combination books that was actually put together. And there's a very, very specific reason for that. But we're not going to get into that right now, because that'll send Raze off into a whole different stratosphere.
And this world's smartest man means nothing more to me than its smartest termite.
But, so yeah, Raze actually, instead of getting those issues, Raze got the trade paperback, but got the graphic novel. And Raze sat down and read that thing. And yes, knowing the story took nothing away. Reading it, getting the dialogue, because obviously reading summaries of it in this graphic novel, or the source book, which just basically told you what happened, you don't get the interaction between the characters. They can only do so much. And honestly, retelling Alan Moore's writing is not an easy task, because the man believes he's a wizard. Maybe he is a wizard, but I mean, he is on a different level as far as his storytelling goes, and he sees things from a very odd perspective, and that's part of the reason why The Watchmen is so great. Raze has read several things by Alan Moore, and not going to say he likes them all, but I mean, basically you were getting a fresh take on a familiar thing when you were reading an Alan Moore book. Yeah, Raze is getting into it, and he's going to be referring to Alan Moore quite a bit. But anyway, after Raze read that issue, he went down a rabbit hole he has never even attempted to crawl out of. But the video's not about the Watchmen, it's about Dr. Manhattan. So we're going to go ahead and put this guy away, and we are going to talk about John Osterman.
I said, I think you ought to go.
Not before I've had my...
Say.
Dr. Manhattan has the distinct honor of being the only superpowered character in the Watchmen story. And it comes about in a very, very interesting way, and honestly, a very unique way that really hasn't been done in comics. Although you may not think that, just think, oh, he was in a nuclear explosion. Well, there's a little bit more to that. But before we get too into that, Raze has to tell you a little bit more about Alan Moore's creation. A lot of people know that The Watchmen was a result of Alan Moore wanting to do his own book and DC offering it. They had just bought the Carlton characters, and they were like, here, do whatever you want with these characters. And so Alan Moore decided to use them. Or it was writing the story around them. Dr. Manhattan was originally supposed to be Captain Atom.
Captain Atom here. Go ahead.
Captain Atom was actually created for Carlton Comics in 1960. And he was created by Joe Gill and Steve Ditko. And if that name sounds familiar, yeah, Steve Ditko, the co-creator of Spider-Man, also had a hand in making Captain Atom. And I mean, you can think of Captain Atom now, but and you can see Captain Atom in the comics, and you can see the Captain Atom in the comics all the way back into the late 80s. The thing is that is not the Captain Atom that was presented to Alan Moore. Alan Moore was presented with the original Captain Atom from Carlton Comics. And the reason I'm telling you this is because, as with other characters that you may or may not know, Alan Moore did not just create Dr. Manhattan based on Captain Atom. This isn't okay, well, we're going to just change him a little bit. He changed him a lot. See, the original Captain Atom back in 1960, you probably saw old pictures of him, old artworks and seen in flashbacks and everything. But a lot of that is also retold by DC, who absolutely redid Captain Atom's origin to begin. I mean, they wrestled the crap out of that thing. But the original was basically the man who would be Captain Atom essentially is a rocket scientist who is working on an experimental rocket that blows up and therefore gives him his atomic powers. That's a far cry from what you read in The Watchmen or saw in the movie. That's not quite the same there. So, while it was, okay, well, yeah, this is the Captain Atom. And of course, it was actually made to be the Superman of the Carlton universe. So much so that, yes, Carlton was one of the people that had to deal with DC coming at him. Because, hey, you can't make a Superman. It's like, no, we just say he's our Superman. He's not actually Superman.
I can change almost anything. But I can't change human nature.
While Captain Atom was one of the influences of Dr. Manhattan, you can find another character that looks a lot closer to him, looks much more like him, very, very similar, and that would be Dr. Solar, Man of the Atom. That was an independent book. It was an independent book back then. It's an independent book now. It's been in Gold Key Comics. I believe that's where it started. Gold Key. And I think it jumped to a couple other places. It's been in Valiant, most famously, I think. And it's gone to Dark Horse has done some Solar, though they've dropped the Doctor off of his name for the most part, I believe. But yeah, he's floated around, but he is actually a physicist who is helping another scientist after their experiment has been like sabotaged by somebody else. And he's there and he's in an actual accident. He's actually kind of blown up and, that kind of thing. And his powers are a lot more like, Dr. Manhattan's. While Dr. Solar did come out in like 1962, nobody would have saw Captain Atom, who was created 2 years earlier, and then saw Dr. Solar, the man of the atom, and thought that they were one was a ripoff of the other. No, they're very different. So yeah, the power set comes closer to Dr. Solar, but they are unique to Dr. Manhattan. Yeah, we will get into that. I'm sorry, I keep going a little astray, but I'm sorry. Raze loves this character. So Dr. Manhattan's thing is that he's when he was very young, he was going to be a watchmaker. He was going to follow in his father's footsteps.
Yes, John. Good. Now it's just a question of reassembling the components in the correct sequence.
The science starts to take over. His father's just like, hey, nobody wants these silly little watches. And he was just like, go to school, make something of yourself. So he grows up and becomes a scientist. He starts working on, the atomic age. He starts following those kinds of things. He starts working on a machine known as Raze wrote it down because it was a very specific word. It was the intrinsic field disruptor. Intrinsic field disruptor. Okay. Yeah. I believe that's the sign on the actual movie. If you do that, and that makes it a whole different thing, because the implications of just what is an intrinsic field disruptor. There are four basic fundamental forces that surround every living thing in the universe. And that is gravity, that is electromagnetism, that is strong nuclear and weak nuclear. Kind of a cheat on the last two. But it's that attraction, the gravitational pull, and the individual electromagnetic, nuclear and magnetic pull. Good God. This is a tongue twister. Ray's told you he's read this thing in and out. But that's what separates this. I mean, basically those forces, the four fundamental forces that I have mentioned and struggled with a couple times already, but now we're just going to call them the four fundamental forces. Basically, those are what keep your atoms together. That is the gravity. I mean, everybody has their own gravitational force. And if you break that down to the atomic level, even our atoms have these forces and these positive, negative attraction, and binds us together and keeps us as a person. It makes us what our physical form is. the intrinsic field disruptor. Basically, John Osterman gets stuck in there, and he's in there when the experiment goes. Now, a lot of people kind of think, oh, well, he was blown up in this explosion. That is not the case. This is something completely different. Imagine if the force that keeps you together is suddenly not there anymore. You don't really just blow up as much as you scatter into nothing. It just every different direction. So he doesn't actually die. You wouldn't actually die. It's just you just come apart. And you'd spread out. Probably wouldn't even hurt. You probably wouldn't even feel it. I don't even know. That's kind of a level that you can't really comprehend. But then what Alan Moore did was he decided there's a theory that what makes you you in your is it in your head? Is it your brain? I mean, if that's the case, like, why isn't everybody the same if the brain does the exact same thing? It's your consciousness is a combination of your nature, your nurture, your experiences, and all that, everything that makes you your individual you. And is that in the brain is the question that is being asked at this point. Is all your compounded experiences and interests and loves and, feelings, all that combined into this brain? Is this the only place that it exists? And, nobody knows for sure. Nobody knows exactly where the consciousness is. Some could refer to it as a soul. But in this case, in DC, or in the Watchmen universe, we'll call it Watchmen because not necessarily just DC. Essentially, they're saying, no, that is a separate thing that's intangible and it's out there. So when John Osterman was spread out throughout the world, or the air at an atomic level, his early years of being a clock maker, a watch maker, comes into play. And they even pointed out in the book, making things work is just a series of knowing what parts to assemble and in what order in which to assemble them. So yeah, in the book you see like, oh, there's a circulatory system a few months later, and essentially you get the being known as Dr. Manhattan, which is a unique character because he is not a superhero.
A live body and a dead body contain the same number of particles. Structurally, there's no discernible difference. Life and death are unquantifiable abstracts. Why should I be concerned?
And he's really kind of beyond description because he doesn't need this body. They even show that like later on in the book when somebody tries to do it again and just spread it out.
Right. Don't.
Yeah, you didn't kill him. Like, putting himself back together was one of the first tricks he learned, and it didn't take him months to do it a second time. It's just so odd because there's so many different things about Dr. Manhattan. His physical form is essentially there to interact with people. It is so basically everybody else can see a person. And of course, if you're going to put yourself back together, why wouldn't you do it, in your favorite color, I guess you'd say. Thankfully he's wearing shorts in these, but part of Alan Moore's explanation as to why Dr. Manhattan is pretty much constantly naked is because he doesn't really see a point in clothing. Because, yeah, it's not part of him. He does morph. I mean, the idea that he actually dresses isn't unnecessary because he can literally rearrange molecules at the base level and create anything. He can literally do this. He has the power omnipotent. I mean, there's virtually nothing he can't do. Essentially, he has the body so he can interact with people. Although as time goes on, he wants to interact less and less because they're just not interesting anymore. Part of the problem there is that his level of consciousness has gone to the point where he is literally living his entire life every second. And that may sound weird, but no, he sees the beginning and the end. He sees everything. Time does not even really exist to him. We can't even comprehend it because we only go through time 1 second at a time. You know, just boom, boom, boom. We're moving forward. We're all time travelers, but we're moving at our own pace. In his case, he can't time travel. He is there all the time. He knows in 1968 the same thing he knows in 1978. He sees it at the same time, and in doing so, it's really kind of a question: can he actually affect anything, or does he only do what he already knows he's going to do? You know what I mean? It's just like, it's really kind of a, is he powerful or is he just kind of going through the motions?
She was pregnant. You gunned her down.
That's right. And you know what? You watched me. You could have turned the gun into steam, the bullets into mercury, or the bottle into snowflakes. You could have teleported her to goddamn Australia, but you didn't lift a finger. You let it happen.
Instead of just going through the motions, like he has Lori as his girlfriend, but that's only because when he was human, he had a girlfriend. So why wouldn't he have a girlfriend? And he kind of goes through the natural emotions of everybody, but he's really, the longer he goes, the more and more detached he becomes, to the point of, he's on a level that nobody can really comprehend, and it's even taking him time to really learn as to what exactly he is. And Raze is going to go ahead and let you guys have a quick break because Raze just went on a long rant about Dr. Manhattan. Raze knows way too much about this character because Raze has read too much about him. So Raze is going to give you a break and actually take this guy out, and we're going to have a look at him. I know they did earlier versions of the Watchmen in Pop, but they did those so long ago. Raze really didn't see a chance of actually getting these. So when Raze saw that they were doing them again in the Funko shop, Raze got really excited because this was his chance. I mean, yes, they're based on that movie Raze doesn't like to talk about, but is there really much of a difference between the character and the figure? No, not really. This is Dr. Manhattan. You've got his molecule on his head, which he puts there himself. The detail in this thing is amazing. I like how the body is put together because, it's a perfect physical form, but, if you're building your own body, why wouldn't you make it exactly the way you think it's supposed to be? But yeah, this is absolutely excellent. And yes, this is the first of many Watchmen Pops Raze will be getting. He's going to, because, if the diatribe, the big rant Raze has already gone on, which Raze is already like wanting to wrap this video up because he's just like, dude, you did it again. And with Dr. Manhattan, it's so complicated because, there really isn't another character out there like him. And it's really a tribute to the creativity of Alan Moore to have come up with such a character. But all the characters of the Watchmen are just as deep, but not in the scientific way. Not this is the only super character in that thing. Everybody else's interesting parts to them goes deeper inside the human psyche, more so than actual out in the cosmos. But yeah, he can do anything. He knows everything. It's a big question as to what he will get involved with and what he won't. The only person it's not a question to is himself. And yeah, I couldn't imagine living that way. Just essentially knowing your entire life and not being able to deviate from what you already know. That's got to be a form of hell, especially if you know the results of what's going to happen right in front of you. But Raze is going to go ahead and we're going to go ahead and wrap up this video because, yeah, you guys got a lot more than you bargained for as far as getting at his character. Hell, Raze didn't even know he was going to go so much as far as the getting into the level of detail he was going to get in with Dr. Manhattan. Dr. Manhattan. Just really kind of an amazing character. But I hope you've enjoyed it at least. I hope you learned something. I hope you actually stayed. That'd be impressive if you did. But yeah, Raze is going to go ahead and get out of here now. You're just going to keep saying apparently and not actually do it. Hope you have a great weekend, but never forget, the life is full of odd moments. You never know when you're going to be defined.